Okay.
Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I think everybody's being recorded. Gallery. Okay, so we can start whatever we want.
All right. Here we are. This is the Global VR AR Association conference discussion about XR and scale. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining my panel today. We have our co-chair here, David, Hector, and Ricardo. Gentlemen, if you'd be so kind as to just give quickly, a background of yourselves, and then we'll get on to the fun part, the questions.
Okay,
David,
well,
do you
let
want
me
to start?
Let me start. As a co-chair, David Moreno here. Very proud to be here and sharing this panel with you guys. I'm the CMO of Virtualware. We are an XR company with 7 years of expertise, creating custom XR content. And recently, we created an XR platform. We are working with great customers, and I'm great to be here just sharing our insights on how you can bring XR to scale.
All right, I think that I can go next. My name is Heitor. I'm originally from Brazil, working here in Barcelona for PICO Interactive. I am the commercial director for Southern European region, North Africa, and Latin America. It's a pleasure to be here to share these insights on the XR industry and also on scalability.
Okay, my name is Ricardo Moreno. I'm the business vice president for GE Hitachi. GE Hitachi is the family of the company that is dealing with nuclear industry. So basically, I'm the responsible for all the business in the European region. Okay. In addition to that, 3 years ago, in one of my visit to one of the conferences, I discovered the virtual reality, and this impressed to me too much. So I decided to put an effort into my company to be able to add this capability our portfolio of solutions, and a travel that started by 2018 with just a simple field movement simulator concept right now has been expanded, and we are using virtual reality for a lot of different things in our day-to-day activities.
Excellent. So as you can see, we have a great set of panelists today. So let's get started. Here's the first question. What do you guys see is sort of the main limitations in regards to XR and scale? We'll have Ricardo start.
Okay. For me, I would say that the main limitations actually are a combination of technology and mindset. Why technology and mindset? Because, if you look to technology, sometimes when you are trying to reach a certain level of solution, could be compromised by the cost, okay? Because you need to do sometimes very complicated structures that when you are translating to cost are very expensive, okay? And from a mindset point of view, this is a pretty new technology. I'm not going to talk about the Gauss campaign and about early adopters, because I think that the audience is going to be very familiar with these kind of things, okay? But this is a big challenge from a mindset point of view, because sometimes it's not easy to demonstrate the value of concepts like virtual reality, augmented reality, or extended reality to people that, was living completely out of this era and was, not so familiar with this kind of concepts or other like digitalization, etc. Okay.
Adding to Ricardo's insights, I would say that initially when virtual reality was presented to the general public, people got this very original idea without taking into account that technology has evolved a lot. So from the very first mobile adapters to where we are now, it's important also to be able to present it for the general audience, but also for enterprises, in order for them to be able to perceive the value that and the quality of the experiences that we have today.
I would add in regards of, go Ricardo, go ahead.
No, I was going to tell that I think that he was talking about the wow effect that the virtual reality use produced from a marketing point of view. And this is the reason why I made the decision to jump to the VR arena, because, you know, for me it was very frustrating when I discovered VR and I was creating to myself a lot of expectations about deployability, etc. It was very frustrating that people was investing very big amount of money just in marketing, but with no real value behind. You know what I mean?
And it's great. I agree. Today, you know, after 3 years when you started, Ricardo, and you know, and that, as you mentioned, Heitor, a couple of years ago, we still have that problem about, you know, people showing this, or you know, as a wow effect. And I agree. And once that you have the technology and the technology connected to the mindset that, you know, sometimes, you know, we are used to spend every 2 years, we buy a new iPhone, we buy a new Samsung, and we are talking, okay, I would like to have the next, let's say, headset, and I have to spend every year some kind of money for this to have, you know, let's say the best or the best benefits that I can get. Then you have a kind of mindset that because they are not used to spend money on that. And I would say sometimes when we work with different companies, for them it's, and I guess we discussed this in some of our enterprise meetings, they don't find a global, let's say, company, let's say global, you know, developer, a global supplier that maybe can bring everything at scale. Okay, we talk about that, I guess, in the onboarding panel about the exploring phase. Okay, I can, you know, create a POC, let's say easily with one company here, you know, surrounding me, for instance, just to test if this technology can give me benefits, you know, for training, design review or whatever. But then I would like to put this at scale. Then that's the issue, because maybe that's not the company. And you need to find, you know, initially, depending on, you know, we used to say, think big, start small, scale fast. So I think if this is my goal, the way to scale fast is not only about, you know, try and see if this solution is going to be proper to me, but also to find the proper partner initially, because then if you have the proper partner and the great, you know, proof of concept and everything goes smooth, then you have, you know, a lot done to scale XR in the future.
That's good. I think that's a great point. And we'll move to the next question then, which you already started on, which is the idea of what are some strategies that you would recommend to, you know, your stakeholders, your clients, when considering, you know, risks and the idea of, for enterprise, obviously, to scale the project up, right? Because we all kind of can agree we're past exploration, we're past POC. You know, Hector, I'm sure you can give us good light in regards to proper scale for, you know, enterprise as it relates to the wearable. What do you think?
Yes, I think that, well, I can tell from PICO Interactive's perspective that we do offer the possibility for our customers to try our headsets in advance before buying them. So they can actually try before they buy. So in this sense, it's how we kind of tackle this kind of problem. So it's you can make it accessible, you can make it available for general audience to try it, to perceive the value that you have on it, and then of course working closely with the entire ecosystem. So we're talking about the software developers, we're talking about the content producers as well, by offering this platform where they can they are able to upload their content, they are able to create and to present for their customers with a more meaningful experience for them to perceive the value of the tool.
Dave or Ricardo?
You touched a point about the onboarding side. I think we had discussion about this, Mark. You know, because, you know, and in this area, I mean, you can sell your service. This is the best. Okay, this is the best, and this is the cost. Okay, but initially, you know, companies that are starting to in this world, because, you know, I guess and I can talk about, you know, different companies we're working with Ricardo here. These are the early adopters, and they are like leading this in the application in the industries. But most of the companies are not. And how we can help them, you know, give them the possibility of onboarding, you know, a device, a platform, you know, a solution before they can buy it, because that's the only way actually even so they can see the value. I agree with Hector. That's the only way to see the value in your platform or your solution or whatever, because, you know, right now, although you know, maybe it's not too much money, but as we mentioned before, the mindset is not, this is totally new. I don't want to spend a lot initially. So, you know, put me things simple, easier. And if I see the value, don't worry about the money, let's say that way between commas, because I will have the possibility of implementing that in my company.
Cool.
It's funny to listen to you talking about risk, because you can imagine that in the nuclear industry, risk is something very important for us. Okay, and this was one of the main reasons why we decided to jump to the virtual reality, because this technology was opening to us a complete new world of training. Okay, the nuclear industry is linked to training. Nuclear industry is linked to amazing, expensive, full-scale mock-ups that you are using to train your people on very complex activities like fuel movement, reactor vessel head open and close, and other very complex activities, right? But in the meanwhile, these physical mock-ups are limiting a lot the way you train your people, because you can train on efficiency, you can train on replicating your processes and procedures, but you cannot train on proficiency. You cannot train on contingencies. You cannot train on the fail, because at the end of the day, you are risking the physical integrity of your amazing, expensive physical mock-ups. So for us, virtual reality opened a complete new set of options from a training point of view. We are able to train people about how to provide a response, an efficient response in real time on a contingency. We are able to put people in front of very stressful situations that at the end of the day are going to make our people more efficient on site, okay? From an entry point of view, what I will say after more or less 3 years dealing not only with my organization, not only with GE Hitachi, but also with all the GE families and also with other customers, because we are trying to commercialize virtual reality solutions tailored or bespoke to the nuclear industry by ourselves. What I will say is that sometimes you can spend hours, days, weeks, months of effort trying to communicate, trying to explain, trying to do different things. For me, the entry point is always much more easy if you put to the guy directly into the virtual reality experience, and is the guy the one, let's say, creating his own view of the value, okay? For me, it's the clear way to avoid these people feeling like you are just trying to sell a bluff. You know what I mean? Because as soon as he is, immersed in a refuel floor or immersed in wherever, he's able to build his own value figure, and you don't need to speak anymore. Immediately, he is the one coming to you asking about, hey, is this possible to do this? Can we apply this to this other problem? What do you think that could happen if we go to this area and we use this for this purpose? This is my personal experience, okay?
And now I would add that actually, I think we talked about this, I don't know if it was yesterday, but sometimes you have users that had that experience a couple of years ago. And then it was like quite bad, because the technology wasn't ready as it is today. And then in that onboarding part, as Ricardo is saying, sometimes it's more complicated than others. And even, in that industry, once I have, the mindset with, I haven't tried this technology before, and I'm going to put this and do this, it's quite, sometimes it's difficult. And then you can have those people that try the first versions of these XR technologies, and then they have that opinion that say, I didn't like it. It was like, oh, I didn't like it at all. Maybe, and things have changed. So that's why, now, you have to try new things. You have to try them, even, new headset, new things. This is not like in the past. We were studying, I think we are mature enough also as in devices and platform to, have that possibility of giving, easy access and easy onboarding and having good reactions. I guess that Ricardo's team is getting.
Cool. So just to kind of summarize what I'm hearing based on the question, right? The overarching sort of strategy or recommendation I'm hearing is, right, due to the nature of XR, the big number one rule is always, you can't show them in 2-dimension. It's something where you really need to get the technology in their hands. They need to have that direct user experience. So that's excellent. So in regards to the culture, right? Because now we're also talking about, the aspect of, we have leaders that got a bad experience with the daydream, with the cardboard, right? So how would you guys describe, with sort of the developments happening in the enterprise field and getting these things to scale up, what are some sort of strategies or recommendations you would present to the stakeholders when they're now looking at scaling these projects up, but they're going to start thinking, oh, well, this is going to be another daydream, or cardboard experience, and my customers are going to get sick. What sort of strategies or what sort of angles would you play with, getting the buy-in or helping to ease the concerns about risk when scaling up those types of projects?
It's a very.
Please
go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I would say that regarding culture in a general sense, despite not everyone in a company knowing about the VR technology, everyone does understand the value of the ROI of a project, right? So what is your baseline? What are you working with in order to transmit knowledge throughout your company? And what are the possibilities that VR offers you? So if you have a meaningful content that can be used by more students, if you have the availability to and the capacity to offer your headset, or as we do in a global level, I think that these are the kinds of support, not only the technical support, but also what are the main, the key factors of scalability when it comes to actually deploying your solution. So you have the technical support, you have a meaningful content that can be used by way more people than it was originally designed to. So let's put in practical terms. Let's say a risk assessment of a factory or something like that. It's like a common issue, right? Throughout the different industries, you do have to pay a lot of attention to this point. So if you have, again, a meaningful content that's scalable within the organization, and we're talking about a global deployment, and also the continuity of it. So you can have the updates on the headset and on their capabilities. But if you have a meaningful content that can be adapted for it, of course, we didn't have, let's put in practical terms, with the first mobile phones, we didn't have WhatsApp. And now WhatsApp, it's something that it's a tool that you can use, we do use on a daily basis. Not only WhatsApp, but also WeChat and other communication platforms. So, but it wasn't available earlier back in the day when you had those huge mobile phones. So again, providing a platform which is adaptable enough to receive these updates, not only on content, but also on the possibilities that it offers, I think that would be one of the main drives for adopting it, and to present it for companies or for the stakeholders of the company, to ensure them, oh, so this is our base scenario, this is how we can deploy it using VR. So what are the cost benefits? What is the ROI language that we are talking here? And also, of course, the tangibles and the intangibles, right? Of course, there's a cost part of it. So it's an investment that you're doing, but also it's about the time that you are saving of your students, because it's a way more efficient way of transmitting knowledge, and all of the perks that we already know that VR can offer.
David or Ricardo?
For me, it was very interesting what my colleague was presenting, okay? But for me, it's much more a kind of team effort, okay? I'm agree with him that it's complex and need to have engaged different parts of organizations, etc. But for me, it's a team effort. Why I'm telling this? Because the technology by itself is just technology, okay? So in order to be able to make a difference when compared, for example, with your competitors, what you need to do is be able to assign a very exclusive value to this technology. And you are not going to be able to do it without knowledge. So this is why I'm telling that this is a team effort, okay? You need to have the technology, but you need to have the knowledge. You need to have the ability to be able to close the loop of value, okay? And once you have created the value, cost is not going to be never, ever a concern. Because at the end of the day, when anybody is recognizing the value, the return of investment is very easy to find. We must not forget that exists a lot of different industries that just with simple cost of quality will cover, I don't know, many headsets, how many VR computers, and how many VR installations. Let me put you some examples. Hospital. What happened with anybody in a hospital is having a failure with a patient and is creating any damage and need to pay millions on compensations. So how many installations you will be able to put together based on virtual reality with millions, okay? So for me, summarizing, the entry point must be focusing again in a team effort, must be focusing on a combination of the technology and the knowledge to create the final solution and to create the value. And once the value is recognized, the way is simple. The escalation is simple and the risk is perceived like something easy to beat. That's my view.
Following up that, it's like, like in every other decision process, okay, put your risks on the table, put them here. Maybe your risks are, I want to bring this at a scale. I don't have the company, because I need a company in this and the other location, okay? I need to have, I don't know, this content. Do I have to replicate this content I spend on this so I can rely on other, I don't know, platform? Could I create my own content? Okay. And then maybe another part, that part of team and getting people involved is easy onboarding, or if I bring one person on my team, I have to pay, a lot just to bring them here. With that in mind, it's like, in every other study, I mean, diminish your risks. It's like, find a partner, global partner, find, in our case, we try to do that with our XR platform. I mean, we've been creating custom content during 17 years. And, in the market, it's like, okay, you talk to companies, I don't want to replicate this cost 20 times. Okay, if you can reduce that cost, and maybe, you on one side as a platform, okay, upgrades, don't worry if you have a new PICO device, if, we work with Unity, if Unity release any version, if you are working with our tools and the platform, don't worry, because your development is going to be ready in the future. Okay, and it's going to be ready to integrate you in the next generation of headsets, for instance. If you talk about onboarding, you can pay a little and start just consuming content as a user that you have in the platform. On the other part, in regards of the creation of content, our idea is just creating and store. So if anybody of the companies we are working with, they would like to share their content, because this is, for instance, we are working with the military industry, and we are creating like a common process for CBRN process. Hey, you can have it there, and this is common. This is the same process, in US, in Europe, or whatever. Well, you are able just to pay a small amount of fee just to download that content and then explore it. And then, you can be just a consumer, you can be a creator, you can be even, whatever you would like to. But it's like, those pain points, trying to reduce them, but it's like any other, maybe risk management process. But I guess sometimes it's quite difficult to find that, because maybe, we are not used to that. This is quite new for, many companies worldwide. So who is, Mark, we have this conversation sometimes, who is the main company? Because everybody's saying they have the best product. So how I can differentiate this? And who is, the real company that, that this is, a global company? You need to know, you need to spend time knowing those companies, and maybe you as a big company, you don't have time for that. So it's like, a marriage of, a mix of things, I would say.
Kind of to summarize then what I'm hearing is I'm hearing that when it comes to sort of these recommended strategies and the way to scale, right? Everyone I'm hearing is, it's, as Ricardo was saying, right? It's about knowing as the business what that problem is and not approaching it from the standpoint of just hardware as Heitor would like you to. And from that standpoint, once you know that problem, right, it's really about the beauty of this is to properly scale, right? You can design it right, and the ability to deploy and scale nowadays compared to say 3 years ago, the technology is a lot better and it's a lot easier. And then there we're getting great ROI in regards to getting these things out to scale for enterprise. Does that sound correct? So cool. With that, I think the last question I'm going to ask here is, and this is kind of open, you can say it as you will, is what are in your minds as the panelists, what are sort of the major hurdles or blockers that you still see in the enterprise markets? What sort of things do you wish you could see improve?
I can start with the adoption. I mean, I think in this conversation we talk about, mostly everybody knows about these technologies, because they know what a virtual reality is, they know what augmented reality is with, Pokemon Go and whatever. So, the users know, but the users of, on some generations and, techy people, okay? I'm not talking about ages, but techy people, okay? Could be a techy with the age you have, but, these new generations, they know about this. So the future is there. They're going to demand this kind of technology. But the adoption in the enterprise is still like a blocker, because Ricardo is here. They bet on this technology, they bet on this, and they are leading the market in the nuclear industry, okay? But there are not so many companies that you can really dig in and say, this is more like just marketing stuff. So we don't have that adoption. We are in the early stage on that. And I think, and that's the idea of having these panels with, with real customers like you, Mark, as well with UPS. It's like, I'm investing in this, I'm getting benefits. So this is not about just money, okay? Because, in big companies, in this kind of things, you can spend if you get, if you spend 1 million, you get 40 million, that's a great spend. So it's more about how we can, that I block it, the adoption, mainly the adoption. And then, all the kind of questions that we talked today.
Dr. Ricardo?
I would say that it's important to identify pioneers and visionaries on this matter, okay? And try to make noise about their business models and how they were able to make this work, okay? References are something very common in the world and in the business. So everyone is trying to replicate what the other is doing, and it's been so successful. And we have a lot of recent technological references in the last 10 or 15 years. You have the cellulars, you have the cellulars with the camera, you have a lot of different models to be imitated. So what I will say is that we need to work to spread the virtual reality culture in the society and to make more noise about the benefits and improve the knowledge that the people is having on these very special things. After 4 years working on this, I have developed my own, let's say, matrix of questions to understand when anybody is coming to you to offer something that is having value or is not having value, okay? It's very funny when you have anybody contacting you because he was creating the super digital solution about anything, okay? I used to make the first question, hey, okay, perfect, you have the super digital solution, and are you using it? And it's a surprise when they are replying to you, no. So if you have the super digital solution for whatever, and you are not using it, how the hell you want to sell it to me? So again, it's important to, make noise. It's not easy to get early adopters. It's not easy to get people with the vision to use the virtual reality. But as soon as you find one of them, promote him. Give him the opportunity to get visibility. Put this model in the media in order to permit to others to learn about it, okay? And be transparent. For me, this is the key to be able to get the virtual reality exponentially growing in the next years. the value is there. For me, it's clear. Nobody can discuss the value. It's just a question of combine, again, the technology with the knowledge in order to be able to create bespoke solutions for different industries, different business, etc. That's my view.
To viabilize adoption, right? Just like David was telling, once we have inside the enterprises, people that already knows about it and already acknowledge the value of the platform, of the experience, of the VR experience, it gets way more easy. Before working for PICO, back in Brazil, back in my days in Brazil, I used to offer some solutions as well for industries, for trainings, etc. And I always like it to start by putting everyone on the same page, telling them that it's not only the hardware, it's not only the software, it's not only the content, but a complete solution. It's hardware, software, content, and support, right? So when you make it clear for an enterprise that they do need to have all of these engines working together to actually deliver value, then I think that it turns out to be easier. So when we're talking about major deployments, of course, it's interesting if you can assess having an MDM, a mobile deployment management system, in order to help you to manage all of the devices that you have. So when we're talking about scalability, we need to also have this in mind, right? And I think that the major roadblock is to have everyone at the same page. So the stakeholder that already knows the value of it, and also from Ricardo's previous insight about the teamwork, of course, having your internal sellers, let's say, let's put in these terms, in the enterprise side and the customer side, that will carry on that flag, and present to everyone, oh, so here, there's value here. And to be able to calculate this amount of value and to, of course, to project manage it in order to deliver this value accordingly, I think that nowadays it's a major roadblock that I can see.
Interesting. So just to highlight quick, right? Ricardo, the great point you're saying is we're still experiencing the lack of communication across the whole team, right? And it's the aspect of, as Hector, you're kind of identifying, is in enterprise, you have to have that internal owner, that internal stakeholder to really drive it. Being an external firm, supplying the service is one thing, but in the end, right, to properly scale, you need a knowledgeable stakeholder to understand where the technology is for XR. Excellent. Excellent. Is there anything else you gentlemen want to add to our previous points in case there was something that came up, or anything else?
I would like to say, just following Ricardo's conversation, that what we are trying to do in the enterprise committee, because this is our enterprise committee panel. We try to give voice, and that's why we are having this conversation, to leaders, so we can actually, our mission, that we don't have it written down, right, Mark, but in our ideas, like, okay, in the enterprise committee of the VRE associates, to give voice so we can move this forward, so we can give
best practices, lesson learned, and everything. And that's a good point. That's why today we are having Hector. Actually, yesterday we have him in the enterprise meeting, and actually Ricardo as well, because they are trying to push everything forward with, I can say, Mark as well in the UPS, and also as the co-chair of the VRE association. I would say actually that my final statement would be, EXA is a thing. EXA is real and EXA is now. I mean, if you are listening to us and you don't understand anything, you need to try. And if you understand something, you need to scale it up. If you know about what we are talking, it's because you know the benefits of these technologies in your business. Find the person, find the partner, find your solution, and starting, think big, start small, and scale fast. That would be the idea.
And one size does not fit all. That's really important. So we do need to have it a really well-designed project in order to work with it, in order to identify which are the key pieces that are going to put together to deliver all the value. Sorry, David, I just got it
That's
because
great.
it's-
That's great. That's great. Adding information. I would say, Ricardo, just a final statement.
Yeah, basically for me, it's simple, and I'm talking from a very similar perspective with the VR. I'm working for nuclear. That used to be a very special industry, a very close industry. We are very proud of our technical capabilities, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, there is not a big knowledge about nuclear in the world. And this is one of the things that we are trying to, correct right now. We are trying to spread the nuclear knowledge in the society in order to fight against, public opinion, public concerns, etc. So for me, what you need to do is a kind of similar effort. You are very good communicating inside the beer industry, but you need to do a big effort in order to be able to capture attention also out of the beer, let's say, environment, okay? Once you will be able to beat that resistance, the way is going to be simple, and the escalation is going to come immediately. That's my view. Okay.
Excellent. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. And this was a great panel discussion. And we're looking forward to expanding this on the VR/AR Forum for Enterprise as well in the future. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
me.
Have a nice day.
David, are you happy with that?
Yes, I'm here. Don't worry.